Hey everyone, this is a bonus episode of Life in Motion.
You know, we've been going for 4 seasons, Heather.
That's a long time.
It's a long time. After 4 seasons, we decided to invite our producer, Chris Munch, to the table. He's been with us since the very beginning. And so on this episode, we're going to highlight some of our best and funniest moments from all the seasons. We think you're really going to enjoy this.
Chris is behind the scenes and has a big part to play in our podcast. He often takes a timeout and asks questions.
You take a timeout and he
That's true.
answers our questions, but something like that.
Something like that. And he adds so much to the show that you don't get to see. So we wanted to highlight him. He is a professional comedian, and you can find more of his work on Instagram or TikTok with Chris Munch Comedy. Here we are with a guest at our table. This is fun. It's a first.
Chris produced this for us, sits kind of behind camera, corrects us. No, he doesn't correct us. Claps for us.
Yeah.
A lot of applause.
A lot of
encouragement.
Helps us.
Just picking you guys up, just when
Well, it is true, and people don't know this, but it is true that we come in just about every week and we're like, we don't have anything to say, Chris. so we do need you. Yeah. So anyway, welcome to our millions of international viewers. Chris Munch, everyone.
If I could just first off talk to the international viewers.
Good.
Just say, it's an honor to be here. Thank you guys. I'm usually behind the camera now. I have a seat at the table.
You do. What's the goal today, Heather? Because this is a bonus episode. We just wrapped season 4.
Well, I think Chris wanted to talk to us about a few things, bring up some issues he might have had with some of our topics over the season.
We actually invited you, and now we're saying you wanted to talk to us.
This is really
no pressure.
Good. There have been some grievances over the time. Some things that I've had to, on the drive home, just kind of give to God
Process,
and say they don't understand. They don't
understand.
They don't know. They weren't trying to be hurtful to me personally. No, I've had a wonderful time doing this podcast.
You've been with us
guys.
all
I've
4
been through
seasons.
the whole thing,
Yeah.
And so I don't, there's no grievances here.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's no tea to spill. You like that?
I like that. That was good.
That's what the kids are saying.
Oh my goodness!
Really? I haven't heard that one yet.
And we have
spill
kids.
the tea. You've not heard spill the tea?
No, but did you know there's a saying that there's no? That's what is it?
No skin off my nose.
Have you ever heard that?
I have heard that. Yeah.
I thought it was no skin off my back.
Yeah. Have you heard
that too?
Okay.
It's both. It's the back and the nose, which both equally disgusting.
No, it's the shirt off my back.
That is also a thing.
Heather last night said, we're at dinner, and Heather said, that's no skin off my nose. And I was like, what are you talking about?
What is that referring? What is there? Why is skin coming off the nose?
Well, it's not coming off the nose because
there's no skin.
Well, why would there be skin coming off the nose?
I guess back to boxing or something. I mean, there is like some history.
What's the connection point? Because that makes no sense.
We wrapped up season 4 with a movie review, which is maybe an unconventional way to wrap up season 4.
Yeah.
So maybe this bonus episode, along with your help, Chris, we should talk about, what did we start season 4 in hopes to accomplish? And did we ever put a bow on it at the end, or did we just talk about a movie?
Yeah, right, yeah.
So what do we need to talk about to wrap up this season, put a bow on it, and then give ourselves a 6-week vacation?
Yeah. So I think talking about some of the highlights of the past season, I think would be really fun to revisit and just kind of talk about, what that, how the changes and things you guys went through this season, how you're going to.
Did you notice any changes? Did you?
Did
you see it or?
I don't see your day to day.
Yeah,
that was a good safe answer. That was a great. He's like, no, actually, I haven't. So now it's Brian and Chris working against me.
Okay, so I can speak to the level of confidence and the level of professionalism
We're professional.
You guys bring to the table
Heather,
week in and week out.
Do you watch?
That's grown for sure.
Do you watch the podcasts after they air?
No,
I do. I think we're hilarious.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I listen sometimes, but
we're funny.
You guys got a great thing going, and I'm me being here at the table. I don't want to throw the chemistry off.
Oh,
I don't know. That couldn't happen.
We've got
because what our listeners don't know is that there's frequently timeouts taken, we'll be in the middle of something and we'll say timeout.
I would like to say frequently you call timeout.
Yeah,
I'm always the one calling the timeout.
I don't know that I've ever called the timeout.
And what that is basically the conversation is going and it reaches a place where Heather either is uncomfortable at what she wants to say next, or she doesn't have anything to say next.
Yeah.
And then it's, here's what I see. So the camera is my view, and this is what I get here. So you finish the statement, and then you just go. You can see it in your face first, like the face kind of just like. So
which
that's what I get. Yeah. And it's great.
Yeah.
And
they call it timeout. We call it take a tea. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I do take a timeout, then it's turn to Chris and say, okay, are we on the right track?
Yeah.
Or do you have any questions or anything that we need to add? And that's the beauty of your participation in our podcast is being able to say, talk more about that fight that you had go into more detail or whatever it might be so that
I am overly confident to a fault. And so I would never probably call a timeout, but often in the timeouts, Chris will say something to me like, I know your heart. That could sound a little judgmental. Do you want to soften that up? I'm like, what? So it is helpful to have a producer looking after us because I don't mean to be rude. Sometimes I just am. Oh my goodness. One thing we talked about earlier in the season that wasn't funny, but was eye-opening to me because how can we not talk about Blake in our bonus episode?
Yeah, right. Of course.
But in our reading for school this week, there was one sentence, and I wrote it in my notebook, and now I'm just going to have to paraphrase. But it was like, without joy... I'm totally botching this. So I'm going to this is my own
I don't know. You botching a quote? I don't know. Doesn't sound like you.
Something along these lines. Without
make
joy.
It your own.
Okay, I'm going to make it my own.
Make it your own. You'll get quoted on it and you'll just have to run with it anyways.
I've got a quote to share from my heart to yours. But without joy, it's basically impossible to receive from God. Basically impossible. That sounds a bit extreme. I think that is
the scripture. Basically impossible.
But anyway, this book was saying how joy is so important to being able to receive from the spiritual disciplines. And I thought, isn't it interesting that God has had us, Heather, on a journey where last season we're working on emotional health and internal work and internal healing. And this season we're bringing it into our external life. And I've been trying to live in a persistent state of joy, which persistent, you told me this during that episode because I often say words and then don't actually know their definition. But you're like, persistent is something that you have to fight for. You've got to keep doing it. Effort. So I'm now 1 solid month post-antidepressant, which is really fantastic. And yes, that's what Chris does for us. But a persistent state of joy, it turns out, can be very difficult. Very, very difficult. But I read that in the book this week and I was like, without joy, I could sit down and read my Bible and it might not even matter. I might not even receive from God. Or I can listen to a sermon. I might not get out of it what God really intends if I don't fight for a persistent state of joy. Fascinating. So when we take our break, our little 6-week vacation before we start season 5, I'm just going to keep on fighting for joy. Yeah. It's hard. I wish it was easy.
Yeah, I think anything persistent is difficult by nature. Whatever word you put after persistent,
that's a good point. I'm also persistently working out, which also kind of sucks.
There you go. Very difficult.
Yeah. Anyway,
good for you.
Fascinating.
What's the quote again?
My quote or the actual quote?
Well, your best idea, the real quote.
My best idea was said something about without joy, it's very difficult to receive even when you're practicing the spiritual disciplines. Something along those lines. And so I just thought, wow, how much more important. And I do not minimize my need for an antidepressant for 3 years. But now I can feel myself losing it. I can feel myself heading in a downward trajectory at times where I couldn't feel that before it was happening. I just wasn't feeling it. So now to be able to feel it is a huge gift. It's hard. I mean, I'm still losing my temper with my kids. It's hard. I'm still fighting for persistent joy, but just knowing it's not just fighting for it because that would be great coming off of an antidepressant. In fact, I'm fighting for it so I can be more like Jesus. I'm fighting for it so I can show up for my kids after I've already blown it once this week. I'm fighting. Anyway, it felt very encouraging reading that quote because it's worth fighting for.
I guess my question to that would be so you lose your temper at your kids. What does joy in that situation look like? For me, it would be beating myself up, oh, you did it again. And
what does joy look like? That's a great question.
I mean, is there joy
in the anger?
Like you're angry and you're like realizing I'm yelling. Okay, I'm just going to be happy right now, or
no, I wouldn't say so for myself, at least not in this season. It would be great if I could, but I think for me it would be those moments are literally arresting my heart where I'm able to say, Lord, I need you right now. I say when you're my personality and you're overly confident to a fault, and sometimes false bravado. I mean, sometimes it's masking some significant insecurity, but you come across as so confident. In those moments when I feel out of control, I think what the joy in that moment is the recognition that without Jesus, I am going to blow it. Or without Jesus, I just blew it without Jesus. Lord, I'm going to need you right now. Mm-hmm. And do I need to apologize? Do I need to self-correct? It's just... For me, it's the fact that he never leaves at my worst.
And that's joy.
That is joy.
Yeah.
My behavior is not always admirable, but he never leaves. Mm-hmm. And he's right there. And now I'm like, it's almost like I feel him just like, all right, like, when are you going to ask me to step in? Like, here I am. And it may be, I may not recognize it until 5 seconds too late, 5 minutes too late. But the joy in that I'm not fighting for this any longer by myself. And I've fought for this for a while by myself. Just like I should be able to beat this. And now I'm kind of at a state where like, I don't have any preconceived notion that I could beat this by myself. I've proven that I cannot do it by myself. I have proven that. So the joy in just that he's always there. He never beats me up. Like that recorder in your brain, he's always kind to me, even when I'm not kind. Now, I'm sure my kids really want me to continue to work on my behavior, but yeah.
Yeah, so over this season, listening to you guys and kind of the transition that I've been going through is, going into doing more comedy and putting myself out there online and doing characters and, silly stuff. And I have felt the terror of like putting yourself out there and I think I was looking forward to like, oh, this would be great. I get to share myself with the world. And it is that, like, I do like that, but there's also just, you're opening yourself up to so much judgment and opening yourself up to comments and opening yourself up to things that can really hurt.
Yeah. We all care what people think.
I think there's also just this innate, like when you see someone on a stage or you see someone behind a microphone or on a podcast, you just assume they're completely comfortable and confident and are loving what they're doing. And I think there's an element to that, but it's like, I love performing. Like I love making people laugh and I love bringing joy to people, but it's also really scary sometimes.
Sure.
And so it's like, I don't want to stop doing that, but I don't know.
It's funny, completely different, like podcasting and stand-up comedy. Like I don't think either one of us could do that. Completely different, yet some of the things that I hear that are the same. Like season 1, I felt was fun to record for us because we had it lined out. We're going to talk about this first week and second week. And in some regards, it felt easier. And then we've gotten into a couple of seasons where it's like, let's just share our lives with them. And I would say 80% of the time we come and sit down in this chair and we look over to where you're sitting and we don't have anything to say. Yeah. like, okay, well, let's just talk until something comes up.
Yeah, and you always do. You guys always have something to say.
Well,
because it's just coming out of your heart. But so that's something that I really was inspiring about this maybe season, especially just kind of going.
I hope you just said that was something I was really inspiring about this season.
Did I just say it?
You did.
Oh my gosh.
No, but whoever's editing, you cannot edit that out. It's
oh my
perfect.
gosh. I
the word is
edit those things out for you.
I know you do. I have a real problem with saying the wrong words, and Chris just takes care of me on the back end.
We get a timeout, and you're like, it's not astigmatism.
Yeah. There's a kid that I think I can share his name because there's nothing, I'm not telling a story about him. There's a kid at our high school, and his last name is Brandstetter. And for 2 years, I think I've called him to his face Barnstetter instead of Brandstetter, Barnstetter. And no one has corrected me. Everybody just lets me mispronounce
I called
his
a
name.
friend of mine. I don't know if I'm going to say the right name now even. I called her Sarah for a long time. And she one day said, "My name's Amy."
Oh my goodness. You also, there's a couple of last names that you get wrong regularly.
That is my
and
worst
it's just
nightmare.
And every time I
you.
see, and I do it all the time to people where I'm like, are you Emma or Emily? And then I'll say the wrong name. I'm like, I'm sorry.
But
you'll
Sarah
see
and
people
Amy is
not
like
alike.
No,
wildly
for
different.
a long time. Finally, I'm so appreciative that she said
Yes,
something
please.
instead of just like, my gosh, would she stop calling me?
Amy, she's going to do it again. I don't even know who you are, but she's going to do it again.
I hope not.
Oh, man.
My favorite, Heather, is when you see people from a long distance and you're like, hi! And we don't know that person. That happens regularly, too.
Yeah.
So, Heather's, what's something that you shared throughout this season of faithfully following Jesus that in this bonus episode you want to just say, I've grown in this, I still haven't grown in this, or just exclamation point? Anything?
I think my biggest growth or movement in the last few months has been learning to share my feelings, like without worry of being rejected or
that's scary.
shut down. It is really
So
scary.
scary.
And even the other day, Whit and I were out playing golf, and my honest feelings were,
Oh, no.
Whit was having an amazing game, and mine was just hit and miss, and which it's an unrealistic expectation that after not playing golf for 20 years and then you take it up again, it's like, I should just be able to hit the ball and it just goes straight and goes where I want it to go, and I should be doing fine. And so when it's not, it's going all over the place, or it's just worm burners down the fairway or whatever.
What?
She knows the terminology. Listen, look at her
And
go.
you're just like, what is going on? And Whit's like, par.
Oh, geez, yeah.
I'm like, why am I here? This isn't even fun. I don't even want to be here. And then to be able to share with him my real thoughts, not just say, oh, it's fine, I'll do better next time or whatever. And so we're having this game, and I'm like, Heather, you need to encourage him. This isn't all about you. He's being nice and encouraging you. You can't go into pouty mode or just silence, which is one of my go-tos. It's like, you've got to acknowledge he's having a great game and celebrate that with him. But then to also be able to share my irrational thoughts.
Yeah.
I should be better than you at this. You were terrible 20 years ago.
And 2 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah. And I should be better. I should be having a better day than you, or at least equal day with you. This is ridiculous. And he's like, huh, you really think that? It's like, and we can then have these honest conversations about what's going on in my game or even in our relationship. And he's supporting me and I'm acknowledging what I'm really feeling. And it's a great place to be in a relationship when you're learning to trust again. And that's something that I have withheld for a long time because of the place that we had been with Whit's unhealth, and mine too.
It might be worth it being a tell-all right now. Like, it's hard to even be friends right now.
We went out to dinner last
I'm mad at
night.
you.
Well, we
I love
went to dinner last night for the first time in I don't know how long.
Yeah, we talk all big and bad about Friday lunches until track season and baseball season started. And it's like we
There's not a free night in the week. Yeah. So, yeah. But we had fun last night.
Oh man, we laughed hard. In fact, that's one thing Whit said towards the end. He's like, "This was good. I haven't laughed this hard in a while."
Yeah.
I'm like, watch our podcast. We're real funny.
We're real funny. I know. I wish everybody could see the behind the scenes, because usually once we stop rolling, we sit and talk for another 30 minutes and are making jokes. And
there are some things that are funny that have happened.
Maybe we need a Patreon of behind the scenes, and you guys can tune in and watch
what happens when the cameras keep rolling.
There have been a couple of things which, if you haven't seen every episode, you'd have to go back and listen or watch all of them. But a couple of things that people have said to me this season that I have found funny was Julie in our HR department said, people are still listening to your podcast. And I'm like, thanks a lot, Julie. Like, that sounded like nobody ever listens. She goes, no, I mean the episodes way back, like the one where you told me the physical therapist was flirting with you. And I was like, do you look like that when you go? No, he's not. She's like, somebody just asked me, are you Julie from HR? And then Danny, who you stole her cowbell for a while. She took a new position within our organization, and she is working at one of our campuses. And so she's meeting a lot more people. And someone said, oh my goodness, are you Cowbell Danny? She's like, yes, I am. So, oh man. Oh my goodness, can we not finish the episode without saying, a few weeks ago I had my 1-year checkup with my functional health medical doctor, and 2 amazing things she said.
Okay.
Number 1, all my labs have gotten better.
Excellent.
They are not perfect. Like, I'm not done. Fine. Persistent joy. So I'm not done. But she did say, since you came off of the antidepressant, like she said, if you start feeling low and you feel like I might need to go back, call me first and let me see if I can help you through some things before you just jump back on. But she said, you need to get extra rest. Like, your body's adjusting to a new normal. And I was like, what? And she's like, you need extra rest. And I go, can I take naps every day? And she goes, you really should. And you know, Sarah, she's pretty professional. She's like, you probably should. And I was like, did you just prescribe naps? Gosh. And she goes, is your husband going to be okay? Do you need me to write you a prescription? Would that help? And I was like, well, no. I mean, Brian would freak out if I was like, I made her write me a prescription, so you'd believe me. No, but she told me I should take a nap every day.
That's wonderful news.
Yeah. So it's going to be real easy to live in a persistent state of joy if I'm required to take naps.
That's one of the best prescriptions you could ever get.
She was so serious. Like, she's a no jokes person. She's very serious. She's
this ain't a joke.
Yeah. You're going to need to take some naps. So
that's great. Congratulations on your prognosis.
My health's getting better. I'm required to nap.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. Joy should be easy.
Doctor's orders.
It should be easy. Like, I'm feeling a little dead. I'm headed home to take a nap, guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
And if anybody tries to get you out of the bed, just doctor's orders.
Yeah, I have got to. Eleanor keeps asking me to eat lunch with her at school, and I love her, but it's one of my least favorite things because it's like a 15-minute lunch. Yeah. It's like she's like, sorry, don't talk, chew. Love you, bye. She keeps asking me. I'm like, I got to take a nap today. Yeah. Dr. Sarah told me. So, I forgot about that.
So what are you guys, I've always wanted to say this.
Oh no.
What are you guys going to do this week, or something that you have done?
Yeah. Are you making fun of how I say that?
Joy. No.
Okay. All right.
I'm just trying to get the words out.
Okay.
That's going to bring you joy. I feel a little bit like Saturday Night Live saying live from New York. It's Saturday night that I just got to say that.
So I'm so glad we could give you that gift.
Dreams do come true.
We could give you that gift. Are you on first?
Oh, sure. I'll tell you what I'm going to do this week. I'm actually going on a college visit with my daughter. So we're going to go out of town this weekend and get to visit a school and see, is this the one?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And maybe do a little shopping. I've been wanting to get a new couch for years and years.
We're going to go on a college visit and buy a couch.
I hope so.
Okay.
I'm going to at least pick out the one I want and tell Whit.
Nice.
Wow.
Start saving.
Oh, wow.
Can I do a quick impersonation of Heather real quick?
Yes.
Please.
So that was one of the best, when normally, I'm going to do an impersonation of what you normally do.
What normally happens, yeah.
When you're asked what you're going to do this week for joy. So I'm Heather. Ask me the question.
Okay. So Heather, what are you going to do this week just for the joy of it? You sometimes call a timeout, Heather. Right.
There it is.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's true. Just like, I gotta think about this.
Oh my goodness.
I'm seeing now there is a massive deficiency of joy in my life. I'm having such a difficult time talking about what I'm going to do to bring joy.
Come on, what are you doing this weekend?
Something small. What do you do to replenish your
we
heart?
do Sabbath on Sundays.
Okay.
And so it is a time where
of immense
joy of just saying no to all forms of work and just kind of being, we go out to eat after church, and it's just a great family day.
Is that hard sometimes since you're self-employed?
It's getting harder and harder.
You got to cut some coupons and look for gift cards.
Sorry.
It is, as deadlines, working at the church, the deadline was always like Thursday or Friday or whatever. And now it's like deadlines are kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a time for the whole family to kind of be together or just watch screens all day and separate.
Oh my goodness.
That has happened too.
It does happen sometimes.
But you're just like, all right, let's come together and we'll do something together. But that's like, we eat lunch together, and that's kind of our ritual that we do together, and it's really fun.
Where's your favorite place to go to lunch?
Oh man. So I grew up going to Mazzio's Pizza.
I do know that because you worked there.
Yeah, I worked there. I got a family discount. And so
do you still get the discount?
I don't get the discount. I actually got to do some voiceover work for Mazzio's one time, and it was like a dream come true because it like came completely full circle. I'm like, I'm the voice of Mazzio's.
Oh my goodness!
For a season, it was just a season.
For our international listeners, that's a local pizza joint.
Local pizza parlor.
It is a parlor.
And
you had a record at Mazzio's, didn't you, for how fast you could slice a pizza?
I was actually I was an amazing employee. I used to dream about wishing they had like a Mazzio's Olympics that I could go to and compete with other Mazzio's oven workers, because I was the only one who could handle a 3-stacked oven on a Friday night.
Oh my goodness.
The managers would have to step in on Friday nights, not when I was running the oven.
Yeah.
And I could cut a large pizza in less than 2 seconds.
That's impressive.
And
it's really something.
I did it with my eyes closed.
It's really something to put on a resume.
We could trade stories of my time at DQ, and I could,
whipping up a blizzard. Just whatever.
Under 30 seconds.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to keep that drive-through moving.
Maybe we'll hit Mazzio's this weekend. That's with the family.
Just for the joy of it.
Just for the joy of it. Yeah, we go to Mazzio's all the time too. Now, sorry, that's what I was saying. We're continuing the tradition. I did as a kid, worked there. Now we do it as a family.
And now you're hoping they're going to employ your children.
I'm looking for like a discount or something.
Before I answered the question, because I love to just talk about whatever I want to talk about, I got my first "Your child's a senior" email from the school that just said, upcoming seniors, we need to talk about the senior trip, where I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So that did not bring me joy.
Really?
No, it was fine. It was just kind of shocking where you're like, oh my gosh.
Are you going to be one of those moms that's sad all year?
I don't think so.
Crying?
Well, I don't think so anymore, because I told Brian recently that I was feeling a little bit emotional about the thought that Cooper was going to launch in a year. And he's like, well, you need to read Necessary Endings or do something about that, because that's unhealthy. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I will not be unhealthy. So no, I will not be sad. What have I done or am I going to do? We have this Friday night, which is not necessarily my thing to get all fancy and dressed up, but we have a fundraising event, a gala.
I think either is acceptable.
No skin off my nose, either way.
Either way. Or my back.
You should exfoliate your back before you step out in a strapless gown, though.
It's really no exfoliation off my back.
No skin off me. World, I don't know. We're going to celebrate our school and a fundraising event, and I'm mostly glad because our schedules have been so busy that we're both going. Mm-hmm. So I'm really going out to dinner with you.
Yeah, and it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. So that's what we're doing. But seriously, we hope you've enjoyed our 4th season of Life in Motion. Hard to believe that it's over. Hope you've enjoyed this bonus episode
Bonus.
with our good friend Chris Munch, our producer and friend. And we'd love for you to like, subscribe, and share our podcast so that we can just get the word out to the nations. because we really would like world domination.
We'd like to boost those international listeners.
Yes.
We've had fun with you. A lot of you did text in over the season, and just like we said we would, we've read your texts. When it's been a prayer request, we've prayed over those, and we just thank you for going on the journey with us. And we'll see you here in, about 6 weeks. See ya.